Bring him in. I know it's my day off. Bring him in. Sit down. It's all right. Nobody's going to harm you here. Just taking some precautions. Sit down. Okay. Yes, my name is Dr. Andrew Michaels, and I am here, regardless of what you might have heard, to help you. So, oh shoot. Okay. No, I don't usually take patients at my home, but you're a janitor at Department of Navy? Okay. When did this start? Oh, I see. Okay. You were directed not to touch anything in the lab, right? Okay. Well, there's a reason for that. I don't have a lot of my gear with me. Doing this as fast as I can. I'm on my day off, so I'm trying to, just piece this together. Okay, when did the symptoms start? All right. And let me get a sterile cloth out of my first aid kit. Okay, so right after you came in contact, okay, did you eat any of it? Okay. All right, so you thought they were gummy worms. I see. All right. I don't have all my tools, so we're going to have to do some makeshift checks here. Where's my... I'm moving as fast as I can, sir. Okay, now I need you to look up so I can peer into your nose. Okay. Oh, boy. Yes. More of the same. I don't think we even need that light. Okay. All I have is these. I'll wipe them off with alcohol in this sterile wipe. Try to remain as calm as possible. Okay. It's my day off. I've already had a couple beers. It probably isn't helping, but I think I know what the problem is, and we can get to the bottom of it right away. Okay, now if you'll just hold still for me. Right about. Oh, there it is. Okay. You thought that was a gummy bear. Does that look like a gummy bear to you? Well, what you did was you ingested some foreign bodies, and we're going to have to get them out of you. And as you can see, these foreign bodies, we're going to have to crush them up, get them out of your system. Let me see if I can just get that with my finger there. There we go. That looked like very clearly, like a gummy worm to you. Sir, how long have you worked at the Department of Navy? Okay, let me see how close I can get in here. Oh, there's one. Yes, you're infected. That is a good way to put it. You're very, very infected. I'm trying not to get these all over me. Sir. No. You're not going to get fired. I promise. Let me get that out of your nose. The cup. colors are bothering me a little bit. These strange gold ones. I don't know how you did this. Can you open up your mouth? Can you open up your mouth? There you go. All right, say, look down your throat. Oh, there it is. Keep saying, Oh, there we go. I got that one out of your mouth. Very pliable. Stick to everything. I don't know what I'm going to do to get all of these out of your system. I mean, you see, it'll stick to just about anything. Okay, can you take your shirt off? Let me help you cut your shirt off. And we'll just tear that the rest of the way. All right. Okay. Try to remain calm, sir. I'm just gonna peel the creatures off your arms. So do the best you can to stay calm. Feel better? That's right. Oh, what a mess. I'm getting a lot of them. This is worse than the tribble outbreak we had that time. I don't even want to talk about it. Oh, you don't want to know what a tribble is. Feeling better. There you go. Okay. Stay with me. I'm getting them all off of you. Can you turn around and we'll get them off your back? There you go. There's one on your back right there. There's another one. Okay. Getting stuck to my gloves. I'm tired. Well, it's been a long work week. I mean, you know what it's like. They're like slave drivers there, you know, there's no end to the workload, you know. Somebody has to do it. You hold there now. I'm gonna check in your ears. Oh, there's one. Oh, he's little. Okay, I got him out of your ear. They're coming out of every orifice in your body. We're definitely going to have to give you an injection. I don't have any of the formula here. Let's try some topical. This might work. This Ridex might work. I keep it. It's good for lice, bed bugs, and dust mites. I don't know if it'll help in this instance or not. We're going to have to do a small test. I have my x-ray glasses on. I want to see how it affects one of these creatures on the molecular level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to perform a little experiment using this Ridex, and I'll be able to see. I don't have a lot of equipment, so this will. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Just shake it real good. It looks like it's done some. Yeah, it's definitely doing a lot of damage to the creature. It's rotting him. So we're going to have to get you down to the drugstore. I'll have my assistant go down and get us some, probably as much as they have, of this Ridex. And we're definitely going to have to like hose you down, get you in a bathtub. I mean, there's one right there. Right there. I just got that one out. They're like falling off of you. Please stay on that bath mat, so we can, if any of them fall on the floor, we can capture them. Okay. Here, I'll just give you a spray here real quick on your feet. Oh, that smells terrible. I know there's a lot of decay there. Well, that's to be expected with a foreign biological matter as it disintegrates. Oh, I'm gonna be sick. Oh my goodness. It seems to be working. You don't itch as much? Okay. Well, let's get this one out of your protuberance. Get that one out. Maybe you'll feel better. Can you breathe a little more? Okay. That might be just the trick we were looking for. This little red one is very odd. He looks a lot different than the other ones, doesn't he? I'm just brushing them as I get them off you. We can't have them running loose. Don't worry, you have plenty to go around. Never see anything like it myself. I don't like killing creatures. I mean, everything has its place in the world. So this is a little troubling for me as well. Ever since the war, it's been hard for me. Were you in the military? You know what I'm talking about. Where did you serve? Oh my God. Guadalcanal? You were in Guadalcanal. I had a lot of friends in Guadalcanal. Did you manage to get to Australia? Or the Far East? You did? I served in Europe for most of the war, and then I served a little bit in Southeast Asia. Very little. I didn't get along with my coworkers there. I know. I've talked to enough Pacific veterans to know what went on over there on both sides was very dastardly, to say the least. I know you have a personal feeling in the matter, but I believe both sides should be ashamed of some of their behavior. I know. Lining the Quonset huts? Yes, I know. It was like when we were in Thailand, in Borneo, and I was only there a short time. I don't even know if I should tell this story. We were accompanying special services at the time. We were SAS, or yeah, OSS. I've been really drinking today, and the SAS was with us from Britain. I was attached to the OSS, Operation Special Services, and they brought these actors in that avoided the draft. You know, John Wayne was one of them, I remember clearly. And, you know, you can look this up. And they wanted to participate in the war, you know, so that they didn't look like a bunch of, you know, Nancy boys and draft dodgers. So here I am in this jungle with this 40-something-year-old group of actors. And, you know, they're all wanting to kill the enemy. The enemy. You know, I'm being polite. So that they can get a stripe on their uniform, you know. They can go back and get a medal. Complete film research. We were doing film research. And the British agents were, like, appalled that the United States would even, you know, do something like this. So it was terrible. I was just happy to get out of there. And then, you know, of course, Lindbergh. Don't even get me started on Charles Lindbergh. The greatest American hero, you know what I'm saying? Spirit of St. Louis. I remember taking my child to the Smithsonian, and I was so proud. There's the Wright Flyer. And there's the Spirit of St. Louis right beside it. And I'm thinking, you know, you have to take everybody. You have to take them for their achievements and their curses as well. You know, you can't look at somebody like Charles Lindbergh just as a linear creature. You know, he did a lot of good, but you know, he kept us out of the war best he could, and he only served against the Japanese. So wasn't going to serve against the motherland. And that's a problem with me. The motherland is here. When you sign up and you take the oath of citizenship, or you're born in the United States, this is your motherland now, not there. And Lindbergh, I remember, thank God they didn't create the bomb until after Germany surrendered. It's like, dude, you got a lot of nerve. Most people know this. He was a crack ace. He was a training pilot, but he also participated in combat. But only against the Empire of Japan. So, Lindbergh. Well, they brought him along, So you got John Ford there and his crew trying to film John Wayne and these other, Jimmy Stewart was a pilot. I mean, he was a freaking pilot in World War II. He flew bombers, and, a lot of people, Clark Gable, all of them, they served, I can't even remember them all. Practically the entire Major League baseball, all of the baseball players were in the Army, the Navy, serving. We used to, oh my God, they used to have some throwdown, pro level, professional level baseball games in the islands. I mean, you had like all-star shortstop and first baseman from the National Leagues playing baseball with regular guys, regular Joes. It was the coolest. It was the coolest time. Everybody threw in together. And, there was a time when you could go see Joe Louis fight, and because he was in the Army. I mean, these were, in my eyes, it might seem a little simplistic, but those were real men to me. Those were real men. John Ford was, he didn't have to be there. I mean, he was practically blind in one eye. His age alone would have kept him out. And there he is, filming on the deck of an aircraft carrier in the Battle of Midway. Oh my God. I mean, he's insane. The man was insane. And if you could have heard him ripping John Wayne, I mean, John Wayne's a big boy. You did not. Movie actor or not, he was the real deal. I'm telling you. You did not mouth off to John Wayne. Now, I'm about his height and size. And you did not mouth off to that man. One of the guys did, here we got Mr. Hollywood. And he did something rude, and Wayne asked him to do it again. Why don't you try that again? And flicked the cigarette at him. Go ahead, try that again. So this guy, flicked the cigarette at him. I'm telling you, before, he was like a good 15 feet away. Before that cigarette hit Wayne, he crossed the distance. And he flattened this guy. He hit this guy so hard. One punch. Out. Knocked him flat on his face on the ground. And I'm like, you're going to freaking break the guy's jaw doing that, John? What the hell's the matter with you? And I'm like, I'm going to have to carry this guy back. And I'm not in the shape for this stuff. I'm not much lighter than I am now. And, I'm a strong dude, but, I'm not carrying a 160-pound OSS agent back to base 5 miles through the mud because you want to break his freaking jaw because he flicked your freaking cigarette at you. And I'm like, you people are stupid. I mean, I don't care if John Wayne is a patsy. Good God, the man's 6'4". He weighs 260 pounds. I never seen a guy could smoke like that and still hike. I don't smoke. This guy smoked 3 packs a day, and he was out hiking us. Well, here he had just gotten into Hollywood, as a star. He'd done a lot of movies, but he had just broken into Hollywood as a movie star in say 39 with Stagecoach. And he was a commodity. They wanted him back in Hollywood. And he wasn't a kid anymore either. Jimmy and them guys, Jimmy Stewart and Henry Fonda and them, they were young. You're talking 39. Clark Gable's even a relatively young man. John was 40, and he had kids. So, they didn't want to sacrifice their cash cow, John Wayne, and he had reason to avoid the draft, and he had a bad injury from football. Now, here's a guy who could play pro football, and he hurt himself. So now he's a movie actor. So he's gone from one of the best football players in the country to one of the most highest paid, in-demand actors. This guy can do anything. So here's a guy, okay, this is me explaining this to the agents that I was with, that all wanted to, duke it out with the Duke. I'm like, okay, listen here, boys. Here's a guy, wanted to be one of the best football players in the world, became the best football player in the world, wanted to be a movie actor, cerebral, became one of the highest paid leading men in Hollywood. And now he wants to be a soldier. He wants to play soldier and, kill some enemy with a knife, and go back with stories to tell his wife and kids. And you want to get in between that and the enemy. You got to decide who's the enemy here. I'm like, that's the enemy out there. The enemy's over there. We're over here. And finally, everybody calmed down. See, guys were real. I think the word is machismo. Men were macho back then. And they saw Wayne as an interloper and an interference. We can end this war a month earlier. We can end this war sooner if we weren't babysitting, these actors out here trying to make a name for themselves, trying to get a silver star. But I like John Wayne. He was a good guy. He was very generous. They had a whole crew there to film, and he had an assistant. Now here we are living on K rations, jungle K rations, which were nasty. And there's a difference, we were on these nasty jungle rations because the K rations, there were different ones, and the K rations that regular soldiers had in the campaigns in Europe, they were fine. But in the Pacific, with the higher humidities and rain, they were worthless. They were disgusting. You couldn't even eat them. So we had these, they called them a jungle ration. I think they were a J ration. Believe it or not, I think that's what they were called. And when we got wild game, we killed a pig, feral pig, or something, like a bird. If we could capture something, we'd eat that. But it was hard to process because you didn't want to give away your position to the enemy. So, I know I got these trains right by my house. Yeah. So John Wayne, he's wanting to kick some ass. And I won't, he's the only actor everybody knows that was over there. I don't want to tell too many others' names. But I know I can trust you because you're, being a janitor is meaningless to me. The fact that we're both in the army together. You know we can talk. You know, I was actually not an enlisted man. No, I was with the University of Chicago before the war, and I was working on a project studying radiation and the effects of radiation. You know, like a radium watch on the human body. And I was contacted by the government. This is 35. A spaceship landed in New Jersey. From outer space. I kid you not. One night, we're all sitting around. We get a phone call at the lab. And it's like it was yesterday. Are you feeling better? Is that Rid-X helping? Okay. Let's do some more of this tingle stuff. People like, So anyway, we're sitting there, and where was I? New Jersey. I get this phone call from, what's his name? He bungled this. This is right after, was it 35? When were those riots, the veteran riots? The pensioners for World War I, was that 30 or 30? I can't remember, but you remember MacArthur was in charge of, the Joint Chiefs of Staff at that time. I never liked him. Well, MacArthur was a nice guy. He really was. He was a genuinely nice guy, but he really had an ego problem. I mean, come on, the whole corncob pipe and our shower return. I love the shower return thing. Shower return. You wouldn't believe. When he walked off that beach, I'll tell you what, if anybody would have made a move, they would have, I'm telling you, you couldn't, they would have shot a blade of grass if it wagged its tail when MacArthur got off that beach in the Philippines. Remember the famous shot? That guy walking beside him had the two, those were tank machine guns he had under his arms. The zip guns. Remember, we called them zip guns. Grease guns. That's what we called them. He had two tank commander grease guns. You remember in the Shermans they had the grease gun? And there wasn't no grease in that gun. Remember? It had a barrel like that. And, oh Lord, that thing could have been more than that long with the clip in it. And the whole idea was he would just take that thing and pull that trigger. It was full of, was it 50 caliber rounds? I thought. Maybe it was 45s. I think it was 45 caliber rounds. And he would just pull the trigger and he would just grease anybody that was within 10 feet. They were just, greased. Oh, the thing I love about that picture of MacArthur getting off the boat and return to the Philippines is you see it from the photographer, his eyes. Okay, so this guy's taking this picture like this, Gleek, right? So you see his field of vision, and you see like 4 or 5 guys standing around. MacArthur, what you don't see is if he turned around, there must have been 10,000 soldiers on the other behind that guy taking the picture, and they're locked and loaded and ready to fire. And they had every bit of ordnance you could. If it was invented to kill a human being in World War II, that beach had it. I mean, they had tanks pointing out towards the jungle when he landed. I mean, they were ready. They could have leveled a city right then and there. And the Japanese weren't known for having great armor. The Empire of Japan didn't have, great armored technology back then. Not like today with some of the equipment that they have in their arsenal to combat Gojira, But I digress. Oh, so what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about New Jersey or the Philippines? Or Borneo? I'll get back to John Wayne. Just a minute. Okay, so hang on a minute. Okay, so we're in New Jersey. I'm in Chicago. I'm in Chicago with my good friend. I have this professor. She's a great girl, like a daughter to me. Her name is Amy, and she's like a bird. And Amy and I are sitting there. We're working on this radiation problem in Chicago, 33 maybe, when the pension riots broke out in Washington. So all of Washington's mobilized, pushing these World War I veterans, war veterans. I think it was 32. Remember during the Depression, all the World War I pensioners, all the World War I soldiers wanted the pension promised to them at retirement age. They wanted it early because of the Depression. I know you know about the pension riots. And there's MacArthur, George Patton, and Eisenhower putting down this rebellion. Most people don't know that. Future U.S. president put down a riot of veterans in Washington, D.C. They had to restore order. Things got out of hand. But there was a reason they were pushing these guys out of there. We're sitting there in Chicago, and we're reading the news about this in the Chicago Tribune Chronicle, and then we're watching it on the newsreels, and I get a phone call, that night in my lab, and I go, okay, Amy, be a good girl and pick that up for me. So she does, and hands me the phone. She's a great girl. She's like a dog. I mean, I know I've had a little bit to drink, but she's a great kid. And I think she's got her eye on my son, to tell you the truth. But he's such a moron, But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I don't talk about my son much. I have two. One of them is, one's a biologist, and then one is a mathematician guy, figures out problems. He's good at figuring out problems. Whenever I have a problem with someone and I can't, think how to take care of it, I tell that son. And whenever I have a biological issue, I studied astrophysics and biology myself, but my son is incredible compared to me. The biologist, yeah. We're going all over the place. We should stay here. But I will tell you, if I ever have a problem with someone, I tell my son, the mathematician, I just tell him that I have a problem. And I don't know how he does it, but he's very good at making problems go away. I hardly use them because it's kind of like one of those things where you want to keep it in your back pocket. You don't want to abuse it. You could imagine that, you know. Kind of like taking penicillin. You only want to take it when you need it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting in Chicago, and my assistant gets a phone call. And she says, it's Department of Navy. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I just mustered out. I was a bosun's mate, and I was a boiler operator in World War I. And I got in, and I'm going all over the place. So I'm like, what do they want? I'm not going down to Washington, D.C. No way. They say they need you in New Jersey. There's been an incident. Okay. Now, when the United States government pushes the veterans out of Washington, D.C., who are peacefully demonstrating, and forcibly at the end of a bayonet, mounted soldiers, armed soldiers, pushes fellow Americans out of the way. I'm not making excuses for them, but there might be a reason. And in this case, there was. They had to get these men the hell out of the area because they might need them. Little known fact. Whenever the earth is invaded by a extraterrestrial source, like a spaceman comes down and lands on the planet and tries to kill everybody, there is a huge percentage of people who die. Now, during World War I, remember the influenza outbreak? Killed millions. Okay, here's a secret you don't know. The influenza outbreak in World War I was actually an invasion. And those were antibodies. Those were bacteria, virus, whatever. I'm so fucking drunk. That entered their body were from an alien source. Oh, I know you don't believe me, but I'm not lying to you. So these people all died. You remember the sleeping illness after World War I? What happened was an alien creature that I'll tell you another time come to the earth, and he infected us with this biological virus from his planet and killed millions of people around the world. It was, oh my God. I can't even talk about it. I lost her then. I lost her. I lost her. She's not gonna be. No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm alright. Okay, so she's out of my life. I have to come to grips with that now. Okay. Camden, New Jersey. I have to come to grips with it. She's gone. I'm alright. It's my own fault. I put her in the middle of everything with what was going on at the time, and I put her in harm's way. So whatever happened, I deserve. But unfortunately, that's another story. I'm okay. So, We're in New Jersey. I'm with my assistant, and I get the phone call from the Department of Navy. They're pushing all the pension rioters out of Washington, D.C. because there's been a incident in New Jersey. And they need me there right away. Okay. Fine. Now, this is 1933 or something. They send a Hughes aircraft. Trimotor. No, it was a Ford Trimotor. And they pick me and my assistant and a couple people up, and they fly us to Cleveland, Chicago to Cleveland, refuel, Cleveland to Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh to New Jersey. And to be not crass, we're SHITing our pants by the time we get there, because we're getting telegram after telegram from the United States government giving us information. Every time I landed in Cleveland and then in Pittsburgh and then in New Jersey, I had a phone call waiting for me. I had a man from the State Department holding a phone. I think it was an FBI guy on my end, but on the other end it was the State Department. The Secretary of State holding the phone, waiting for me to land. Got to get my ass to New Jersey. And they're giving me information about this spaceship that landed. And it was a Martian. I'm serious. It was a Martian invasion. Now, here's the part nobody knows. There's this world called Mars, the red Mars, the god of war. And they were dying, and they tried to invade us, just like the H.G. Wells novel War of the Worlds. And unlike other alien invasions I had mentioned before, they didn't take precautions for the microscopic, that's right, the little tiny viruses and the bacteria from their planet. They didn't scrub their ships clean. What they didn't know was Earth is a very dirty place. Most people don't know this. The planet Earth has swamps and oceans and rainforests and all this shit, and it's full of bacteria and diseases and a lot of competition. And the continent of Africa gets inundated by all the biological matter from the rest of the world. So the organisms on Africa and the New World and Europe and Asia, these are all connected through land, and an intermixing of all the biological matter. They've increased the strains. Yeah, they're fucking trains. I got a lot of fucking trains where I live. And where was I? So this stuff all comes together, and the strains of viruses and bacteria on the planet Earth are very vicious. It's very rare. Look what the influenza breakout in 1917, 1918. that they came because we were in a world war. See, they always watch, these son of a bitches. These son of a bitchin' aliens, they always watch. And they wait for us to get into a big conflagration, like a big war, a world war. And then they come in and they try to influence history and change the geopolitical map. In reality, they're just playing chess. You know how you play the game of chess? You move one checkers, right? One piece at a time. These alien son of a guns, they come down here and they try to play a game of chess with our lives. Because we're like a game board to them, we're like a giant Monopoly board that they can just have their will with. And here's something I know that nobody knows. Let's study world history. Every time that's happened, the general population never knows about it. Like you and I are talking. But there's only a handful of human beings standing between domination and ruin from an alien race and survival. Handful. Literally the fingers on a hand. You can count the people in World War I and World War II that stopped this planet from being destroyed. Each time. The Son of I Am, God, Jesus, was the first person to ever teach us that the meek shall inherit the earth, that the actions of one man can outweigh the actions of many men. He was trying to teach us something, and he was willing to die for it. So we're back to New Jersey. Okay, I get to New Jersey with my friend Amy. Well, she's a friend now, but back then she was like an assistant. She was actually she was smarter than me. This girl was way smarter than I am. She's like a freaking genius. She come out of nowhere and just took off like a rocket. And I was just, getting by as a scientist. And she was like, light years ahead of me. But at the time, people didn't look at women the way they do now. So we called her my assistant, but actually she was kind of behind the scenes, somewhat the brains of the organization. Making sure everything was going the right direction. Yeah, Amy, my assistant in Chicago. So we go to New Jersey, and sure as hell, this pilot from Mars crashed his ship in Camden, New Jersey. You might know Camden, New Jersey in 1939. Very important place. Right in front of this old lady's house is this freaking spaceship. And you have these soldiers, these Marines, telling this old lady that their meteorite landed in her front yard. And she's like, well, ain't no meteorite I ever saw. And this thing's like the size of a city bus, with a tentacle sticking out of the lid. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what the hell is going on Mars, but they hit the planet. The Martians hit the planet, and I'm talking, open the hatch, put their sensor eye out, their weapon, and scan. I'll do it this way because I know you guys like this. I'm like a red motherfucker. Scan the horizon with their laser eye. And I'm talking 35 minutes later, they're dead. It's like that. Fuck. The Martians are dead. There's a ship laying there, and there's this eye. You've seen the books. There's this spaceship with this freaking Martian eye hanging out of it. Like this, see? And I'm like a younger guy. You know, it's 10, 15 years ago. I got this hot assistant, you know, and she's like smarter than I am. I'm like an old fuddy-duddy by then anyway. And she's with me, and she's like, oh, they're already dead. And I'm like, what the hell? Her brain's like that fast. She's like, oh, they're already dead. They all died. And I'm like, what the hell are you even talking about? I'm over here. There's this Martian laying there with these like spongy hands hanging off the end of this spaceship, you know, like all over the place. And I'm like, what do you mean he's dead? And she walks right over and picks up the guy's arm, you know, like, look, he's dead. You know, he's dead, Jim. You know? And I'm like, you're touching him. Put on some freaking gloves. That's why I'm here, to keep you from doing stupid stuff like that. And she's like, she already knows they're dead. And I'm like, well, you're something else. And then she's like, they're dead. And I'm like, okay. So we actually pull all the bodies out and go inside the ship, because she says we're the dominant race. And she's right. They're dead. There's like 10 Martians in this spaceship, and they're deader than a doornail. Okay, they're dead. They didn't make it. Okay, when they say like he ain't gonna make it, they were talking about these Martians, because they ain't gonna make it. You know, so it looked like St. Valentine's Day in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna make it. So we're sitting there, and she's already like I said, you know, ahead of me, telling me, you know, they're dead, and don't worry about it. And we gather up these bodies, and then, you know, we have a truck flatbed Ford show up, and we put the spaceship on this flatbed Ford, and we haul it down to the Smithsonian in Washington. That's why we had to get these guys the hell out of Washington. There's this freaking invasion, and we're going to pull a spaceship, an extraterrestrial, out of this world, Martian, green, tentacled, green-eyed, tentacled motherfucker spaceship, right down past the Capitol building in front of all these veterans. And they had to get the hell out of there. You had to get the news cameras out of there to get this Martian spaceship down to the Smithsonian, where we actually had scientists that could even comprehend what just happened. And I'm telling, like, Amy, I'm like, you know, we gotta, you know, let's just not go to the Smithsonian. You guys just beat the hell out of all these veterans, World War I veterans. I mean, you could have just took the son of a bitch to Trenton. You know, we could have flew all the scientists to Trenton. Well, they don't have the facilities. They have those facilities, those underground facilities, research facilities at Smithsonian. They don't want this thing out in the open. They don't want this. You'd have to put this freaking spaceship in the middle of a football field, stadium, a baseball stadium, you know, to properly study it. And I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Take it to the Smithsonian. You people don't listen to me. At the time, they didn't listen to me. So we go down there. And sure as shit, you know, FDR wheels his ass in there, and I forget who the vice president was. He was an idiot. He got rid of him later. Remember when he got Truman? And then they wheel her ass in there, and he's poking at it. And Eleanor was the brains of that outfit. I mean, I might have had my assistant Amy she was like the brains of my outfit, but FDR, all he was doing was chasing women around. Eleanor was the brains of that whole Roosevelt thing, And I still can't believe people didn't know he was in a wheelchair. I mean, it's what you never saw him walk didn't you people ever realize he didn't walk anywhere? So, okay. So anyway, let's make, where are we at? Okay. So that's when I got one of the nicest things that ever happened to me. My friend Amy, she took, here's a girl that's got it on the ball. She took a back seat and made me look like the big hero, that I solved all these problems. And that propelled me up in the OSS. And they treated her like a secretary. And it really bothered me for a long time to see women women just were not accepted. Now here's Eleanor talking through FDR, telling him what to ask us, because he's over there thinking about when he's going to get his next picture painted by his girlfriend, and when's the next time he can run off in his car. And there's Amy telling me what to tell FDR. So Amy's telling me, I'm telling FDR, FDR's telling Eleanor, and it's all happening surreally in real time. And everybody's kind of looking around like, if you just let Amy and Eleanor talk, you get this whole damn thing settled in about 5 minutes. It's like we're talking through interpreters because they're women. But there's all these military guys around and all these machismo, and everybody's like, and it had an effect. It had an effect. Years later, I had a daughter, and the first thing I started doing was telling my daughter to stand up for herself. I started telling her she didn't need a man. No. You too? I know. You don't need a man to fulfill your life, but he could be a partner. Yeah. You okay? Let me look real quick. How you feeling? All right. Stay calm. It won't be long now. You know, don't you? You know that you're about to die. Yeah. That's why I'm telling you all these secrets. Those antibodies got inside you and they're killing you. But don't worry, I'm right here. I'm going to stay right with you. And we're going to talk until it's over. I'm right here. I'm not going to leave you. And we're going to keep talking. Yeah. I know. They're coming out of every pore of your body. It won't be long now. Just sit back and relax. I won't leave you alone. I'm going to keep talking. All right. Because you and I were both in the war, and you know what it's like to hold another man's hand. And you hold that hand till it grows cold, doesn't it? Well, he didn't deserve it, and you don't either. And I'm right here. Now you close your eyes and rest. And I'm going to tell you about John Wayne, because he's really cool. He's the king of cool. He was cool way before this young upstart set of actors like Oh, what's her name? Jimmy Dean. Yeah, John Wayne was cool way before Jimmy Dean was potty trained. Okay. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Okay. Sorry. It won't be long now. Close your eyes. All right. So, we got done with the Martian invasion, and I was rocketed to a higher level in the OSS. And eventually, when the war broke out, I ended up in Western Europe. Now, women couldn't go, so I left my assistant behind, and I would use telegrams to contact her. And during the war, we did great things, like we got Frankenstein's monster, we rescued a werewolf, the werewolf, Nosferatu, many people. We got over to the Allied side, and they helped us win the war. After the war, I sat down with Amy, and I told her all my adventures, because she only saw half of the telegrams. And I told her about John Wayne. That even though John Wayne wasn't an enlisted man, and that he didn't serve a normal assignment as a soldier, he was still a war hero. In Borneo, he helped save many people's lives, and we were very proud of him as an American. And he was a great man. I've seen him since at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles. He was in the audience with his wife and children. And I heard him talking. He didn't recognize me at first, and he was talking to a veteran. And that veteran was like you, a very nice young man. Okay. He's gone. Okay. Just wait. Just wait. Don't touch him. Don't touch him. And John Wayne was in the audience, and the young man said, "While I was over there, busting my guts, and I come back without my lower leg, you were over here living it up in Hollywood, having a good time." And the veteran was still on crutches. And I saw such humility in John Wayne's eyes. I saw how that affected him. And his wife and children looked up at him. And he still said, "You're right. You're the real hero." He looked right in that young man's eyes, and he said, "You're the real hero here. You're the real hero." And that man grew 2 feet tall, that veteran, that young man on crutches, from somebody acknowledging that. The train's coming to get you, take you home. Death walks behind me. Death always walks behind me. But I don't fear it. Do you? No. It comes for us all, rich, poor, healthy, and wise and dumb alike. Today was your turn. Come on. You can take him now. I know what we're going to do. There was nothing we could do. I know. I know there was nothing we could do. But it doesn't matter, does it? Give me the number, I'll contact his family. Okay. If you don't mind, I would like you to go with me. All right. Dial us up a taxi, will you? Thanks, Amy. Thanks. I know you're not my assistant, but I still appreciate all